Before time even existed, before a single star blinked into the night sky, there was only God. The universe, the galaxies, the planets, none of it yet was. There was no sound, no life, no light, just the eternal presence of the Almighty. He existed outside of time, uncreated, without beginning or end. God had no origin because He is the origin of everything. Then, in an unimaginable moment, His powerful voice echoed into the void.
Let there be light.
And in an instant, light tore through the darkness like a radiant explosion. The heavens unfolded, vast and endless. The earth took shape, surrounded by roaring seas and lands waiting to blossom. Every detail of this new creation reflected the wisdom and majesty of the Creator. Mountains rose, rivers flowed, stars took their positions, the sun warmed the earth by day, and the moon gently ruled the night. But God was not done. Something more personal, more precious, was about to emerge. With divine intention, He stooped low and gathered dust from the earth, crafting it carefully, tenderly. He shaped a form, hands, feet, a face. And then, in the most intimate act, God breathed His breath into this figure. Man's chest rose. His eyes opened to the brilliance around him. God named him Adam, the first human, made in the image of God Himself. But as God watched Adam walking among the animals, naming them, something stirred in his heart. There was no companion for Adam, no one like him. The Creator, who had just declared all things good, suddenly said something unexpected.
It is not good for man to be alone.
Genesis 2 verse 18. So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. From his side, He took a rib and fashioned a woman, bringing her to life with the same breath. When Adam opened his eyes and saw her, his soul recognized something profound.
This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Adam declared in Genesis 2 verse 23. She was named Eve, and together they walked hand in hand in the perfect paradise known as Eden, the Garden of Delight. The Garden of Eden was a masterpiece. Trees heavy with fruit stretched toward the skies. Flowers of every hue painted the landscape, and rivers sparkled under the gentle sun. It was a place where heaven kissed earth, where man and God walked together without fear or shame. In the center of this paradise stood two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God had given Adam and Eve complete freedom with one loving boundary.
You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat of it, you will surely die.
Genesis 2 verses 16 to 17. It seemed simple. They had everything they could possibly need: love, purpose, beauty, and God's presence. But something dark lurked in the shadows. The whisper of the serpent. One day, Eve wandered near the forbidden tree. There, waiting, was a cunning creature, the serpent. Unlike the other animals, this one spoke with a silky, seductive voice.
Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?
He asked innocently, planting seeds of doubt. Genesis 3 verse 1. Eve answered cautiously,
We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.
Genesis 3 verses 2 to 3. The serpent's eyes glinted.
You will not surely die,
He whispered, voice dripping with deception.
for God knows that when you eat of it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
Genesis 3 verses 4 to 5. Those words ignited something dangerous in Eve's heart. Desire for more, for knowledge, for control. She reached out, plucked the fruit, and ate. Then she handed it to Adam, who also took a bite without hesitation. In that instant, their world shifted. The innocence that had once clothed them vanished. Suddenly, they realized they were naked, exposed. Shame crept into their hearts, something they had never known before. The voice in the garden. As the cool breeze of evening swept through Eden, Adam and Eve heard the familiar sound of God's footsteps. But instead of running to him, they hid among the trees. God called out, his voice filled with pain.
"Where are you?"
Genesis 3 verse 9. Adam, trembling, stepped out and confessed.
"I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid."
Genesis 3 verse 10. God asked,
"Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?"
Genesis 3 verse 11. Blame quickly followed.
"The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it,"
Adam said. Eve, her voice breaking, replied,
"The serpent deceived me, and I ate."
God's heart broke. He loved his creation, but justice had to be served. The perfect harmony of Eden was shattered. The consequences of sin. One by one, God pronounced judgment. To the serpent.
"The serpent deceived because you have done this. Cursed are you above all livestock. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel."
Genesis 3 verses 14 to 15. To Eve.
"I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children."
Genesis 3 verse 16. To Adam.
"Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. For dust you are, and to dust you will return."
Genesis 3 verses 17 to 19. But even here, amidst judgment, there was a glimmer of hope. God's words to the serpent hinted at a future deliverer, a seed of the woman who would crush the serpent's head. This was the first promise of redemption, a foreshadowing of the Messiah to come. Banished from paradise. Before sending them out, God did something deeply compassionate. He made garments of skin to clothe Adam and Eve, covering their nakedness. Genesis 3 verse 21. Even in their failure, his care remained. Then, with heavy hearts, he drove them out of Eden. A flaming sword and cherubim stood guard, preventing them from returning. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a red hue over the land. For the first time, Adam and Eve stood outside the garden, looking back, their hearts filled with sorrow and regret. The paradise they once knew faded behind them. Ahead lay an uncertain future, filled with toil, struggle, and suffering. Yet God's love never left them, and his plan to restore humanity had already begun. The beginning of the eternal story. This is how it all began. The story of the Bible starts not only with the beauty of creation, but also with the tragedy of man's fall. But more importantly, it starts with God's unwavering love. It is the story of how everything went wrong, and how everything can be made right again. A tale of choice, consequence, and a creator who refuses to give up on his people. The world outside Eden was harsh, but God's promise lingered in the air like the scent of flowers after rain, a whisper of redemption, a future savior, and hope for all mankind.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.